Hi guys, and welcome to another milkshake chess video. In this video, I've decided to start a new series, and this series is going to be about Middlegames. And Middlegames are the part of the game where the opening is finished. So hopefully you have tried to expand into the center, developed your bishops and knights, and castled your king into safety. And you are now trying to start an attack on the opponent's king. So in this first video, we're going to be talking about something called a Zwischenzug, which translated from German means an in-between move. And an in-between move is basically a move that is in the middle of another move, basically. So I'll explain this concept when we get to this game. So this game is a game by Samuel Rosenthal and Sylvain Devier. So this was a game which was about 150 years ago. So it starts off with a French defense. So I'm not going to be analyzing these games very thoroughly because there's a lot to talk about in these games. I only really want to talk about the Zwischenzug. Okay, so French defense, developing your pieces, push, and then en passant. So okay, black pushes black does queen b6 to reinforce this bishop to stop white's kingside castling. Takes, and now here black sacrifices his bishop for 2 pawns. For 2 pawns, a queenside pawn majority, so 2 versus 1 right here, and also a temple on the queen. Okay, developing. And the Zwischenzug is here. So white takes the knight with his bishop, so bx b4. Expecting queen takes bishop, where he would have I guess a better position. No, not necessarily better, but a simpler position that he can more easily deal with. But then instead, Devier goes for rook to c1 check, so creating complications, and white is forced to move his king to the open, trade rooks, and here's the Zwischenzug. So listen, now queen takes b4 because now it's a check on the king. I mean, previously it was also a check on the king, but then previously it was also a check on the king, but this just leads to better results because as you can see, this rook is no longer on fire, which means that you can use this other rook to come over. And also, the reason that they traded rooks was because you can see previously this rook was one of the defenders of the white king, and now the reason of the Zwischenzug was not only brings the other rook in, but eliminate this f1 rook which was defending the king. So now queen takes bishop, the king moves, and now black is able to win 2 more pawns, 2 extra pawns with a winning position. And white resigns around 10 moves after this. Okay, let's go on to our next game. This game is a very famous game, partly because it features Paul Morphy, which was one of the best American chess players 200 years ago. And this was a game between him and Theodore Lichtenheim. And this game was played in 1857. So the game starts off with a Scotch gambit. It's called an advanced variation because this pawn pushes. Okay, so here black can't take this pawn because his bishop his knight is pinned. Okay, so now black has doubled pawns, but like right now this isn't really much of a liability, I guess, because this pawn is I guess blocked by this pawn, and like it's not that easy for white to reach it. And like this isolated pawn is also not that easy to reach as well. Okay, so here's the key moment. So white's bishop takes the e4 knight, expecting for this to happen. Expecting for ed to happen, and then here white has a better position because as you can see he has a much better pawn position, pawn structure, and his king is generally safe because he can just castle, and then he can just castle and be pretty secure. But black can't really castle that comfortably because he has many pawn weaknesses. Okay, going back to the move. So okay. So here, poor Morphe does queen h4, which is a tempo on this pawn, because if, say, white does nothing and retreats this bishop because it is under attack from the pawn and the queen, say bishop d3, then black can just checkmate. And some people will probably think that casting here is a good move because it protects that king, and now there's two protectors on this pawn, and two protected or defenders and attackers. So it's 2 versus 2. So black cannot safely capture this pawn. But now black is still a bit better because black can first take this bishop, and then white develops his knight to c3, and now black can retreat his queen back to g6, and this is better for black because, as you can see, black has a bishop pair which can be very good in open positions, and in this position the board is relatively open, so the bishops will generally be better than the bishop and the knight. And also the queen is facing the black king, so there might be an attack later on. And now his pawn weaknesses don't even matter that much, because see, his knight can't really enter that easily, and like these pawns are pretty well protected. Okay, so white makes the best move, which is queen e2, protecting this pawn. And now black plays de, because it's known as de because the pawn from the d line goes to the e line. And now bishop e3 here is it's not a very good move, because as you can see, it allows black's pieces to swarm in from all directions and overwhelm the uncastled king. And as you can see in the final position, when white resigned, there's an irresistible mate on g2. And the correct move black should have made in this position, instead of playing bishop e3, was to castle now, because now his king's actually secure. Okay, so that finishes our lesson on the Zwischenzug. So in summary, a Zwischenzug is a move in between a capture or a forcing move that forces your opponent to do something they were not expecting, and often gives you, say, an extra piece of material or an extra tempo or a devastating attack. So that brings me to the end of this video. Have a good day.